broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey everyone! Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's after show for Sailor Moon Crystal!
Yay!
Yay! And cry time! Yeah. I am Kaori Takee. You can follow me on Instagram as well as Twitter and anywhere at Kaorius. And you can hashtag, even though the show's over for now, hashtag ABTV Sailor Moon. And I've got some lovely ladies with me. Introduce yourselves.
Hi guys, I'm Megan. You can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. So many feelings this week.
So
many feelings. And I'm Emma Fyffe. You can find me on Twitter at Emma Fyffe. That's EMMAFYFFE. That's all F's as in Fred. If you're listening, some of the F's might sound like S's as in snake. Seriously, I have issues whenever I book something with my last name on the phone. I show up and it's like, we have an Emma FYSFE.
Don't get started with my name.
Oh God,
I know.
Oh no.
It's been a rough upbringing. But, yeah, but before we talk about Sailor Moon Crystal Act 26 replay, never ending. Let's. I want to ask you guys, what are not only your overall thoughts of this final act, but just this whole season and this whole year that we've, enjoyed every other Sunday together. What'd you guys think?
It's been a pleasure. I know that it took a while because I still maintain that I like the original series better, but I came into Crystal very, very critical because this is our childhood nostalgia.
Yeah.
And all in all, the series did a really good job of winning me over because it really did. I had so many issues at the get-go, and by the time we were wrapping it up, I'm like, I'm not crying. No, not crying at all. What? No, stop looking at me.
I know. I really hope it comes back, and you were talking about before, this probably will.
I feel like it probably will, simply because, number one, they wrapped up everything in the exact same way that this story arc of the manga ends, literally the exact same thing. So they've certainly left themselves open for future storylines, and also merchandise sales have been really good. So
I love that theory because it's actually very true.
Part of the reason you make shows, animated shows in particular, is to sell toys, and this show definitely has.
What were your feels for this particular act? I'm sure you cried.
Oh my gosh, listen, I ugly cried for the last 2 episodes. No shame, sobbing. My eyes were burning like box of tissues in my lap. It was just great. It was so beautiful. And I mean, the thing is, there has not been a single episode, I don't think, throughout this entire series that I did not cry at least a little bit at. And part of that comes from the fact that, growing up, the anime only went so far for so long when we were kids on TV. So, they'd only showed up to the end of the Sailor Moon R story arc on Toonami initially. And it took a long time before they started releasing S and Super S. So during that time period, that is when I started reading the Sailor Moon manga. And that's what I really fell in love with. And animation issues aside, because trust me, Crystal, it has its moments.
It got off to a rough start. It got off to a
rough start animation-wise. But that being said, storyline-wise, it mimics the manga exactly. It's practically a direct page-to-screen translation, and as a fan of the original manga, I can't really complain about that.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job. I personally might be in the minority here, obviously on this table, where I think it was, animation wise, it was great from start to end, and it covers everything.
That contest that.
Very possible. I mean, some people don't even like the transformation.
Well, no, part of the reason why there were animation issues was because it was so rushed.
Yeah.
And so they're doing a lot of stuff to clean it up for DVD releases and everything like that. So it'll look great when it's on Blu-ray and DVD, but during its initial run, and this is something that a lot of animes do.
Sure.
During its initial run, because there's such a rush, we got to get it out there. There are some anatomy issues.
I mentioned the anatomy thing.
I'm pretty sure that person's eyes aren't supposed to. Yeah, that they don't look like that.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing that bugged me about some. That is a legit thing, but the thing that some people were criticizing early on was like the way the characters were drawn, and I wanted to be like, have you never watched a shoujo anime? Because. Well,
I mean, you can't really complain about the style because they're trying to be true to the manga, and the manga they had legs.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I have no complaints about the style at all.
They're just beautiful giraffe people.
I'm actually glad that they can finally format this form of animation, which is so different from the classic.
I agree.
I really
completely.
appreciate it.
Yeah, totally.
It lets it be its own thing. I can talk, not like a robot.
Yeah. So I mean, I enjoy both the classic and now like I'm kind of halfway through the manga. Like I'm past this part, and I got to continue. And hopefully this comes back because I don't want it to end. I don't want us to end.
Well, because the next couple story arcs are so good.
No, there's so much going on
Yes.
later on coming down the road, and also. How could we leave it with Pluto dead?
I know. It can't. And we've got other, sailors to see.
I know.
There's no way.
I really, really just need to have Uranus and Neptune in this animation style. I just do.
Exactly.
I really do.
And we need more merchandise coming.
Yes.
We're buying.
And Saturn, I
know.
It's funny that you brought up about the original run on TV for Toonami because I never finished the original because Sailor Stars never came over to America.
That is correct.
For obvious reasons. Many obvious reasons.
It's quite different now, though. There's a very big opportunity to do that.
So I never got to see Sailor Saturn in all her glory later on.
That is true, because I completely forgot that in the anime series of Super S, they really changed the plotline a lot so that it didn't include the Outer Guardians basically at all.
Yeah.
They're in the Super S movie, but they're not in the series. Period. And so, you didn't really see Sailor Saturn until Sailor Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have her there for like literally a hot second.
Yeah.
And then gone. And then I never got to finish, so I have no idea.
And also, I just wanted to thank Sailor Moon Crystal for coming back because when I was young and I was watching Sailor Moon, I seriously thought I was the only girl in my school watching it. I had no one else with me. But now we're all united thanks to each other and Twitter and all social media. And it's just a beautiful thing to bring this back to life.
It really is.
So thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
And it's such an important part of Western culture's adoption of anime in the first place.
Thank you. Yes.
Because without Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z, which were sort of at the advent of when anime first started to air on American television, we wouldn't be getting things like this simulcast of Sailor Moon Crystal, which is incredible. I mean, we were watching this basically at the same time that it was airing in Japan.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I mean, I could speak forever about how happy I am that anime's made its way and all that stuff. My dad raised me on all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm the only one watching this with my brother, and I love it, but we have no one to talk to, and now we have everybody.
That's how my brother
so it's great. It's terrific.
Well, back in the day, for any anime to come over, usually they would cut together several series and try to piece stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Robotech was
or Voltron.
Big one.
Voltron.
Big one.
Oh, Voltron. But so the fact that we were able to watch series just in their entirety was something great, and the fact that we can simulcast now, it blows my mind.
So thank you, technology, social media,
it's so
new friends,
wonderful.
everything. Okay, well let's do the thing that we want to and not want to do is talk final act.
Can we just keep talking about how
I know, right? That's what I really wanted to do. But let's talk about it because it was such a good act that it merits some, talk about it. Let's talk about Chibi Moon and her transformation. And now she's, not really all grown up, but kind of like in training.
Well, okay, so here was the thing that I really liked about this and also about the manga. So in the original anime series, at this point, she does assist in this battle, but she doesn't transform into Chibi Moon.
No, she gets a little princess dress.
Right, she gets a little princess dress and she uses some silver crystal power and helps out. And that's pretty much the only time in the old anime series that we see Chibiusa be useful. Because the majority of her attacks, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Her attacks as Chibi Moon were used for comic effect.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful in this episode to see her attack like her mom and be useful right from the get-go as a Sailor Guardian.
Yeah.
As a trainee.
Yes.
I thought that was cute how she's like, I'm the Guardian in training. I'm like, okay. Yes, you are.
Am I the only one that gets goosebumps when Sailor Moon actually goes into her full spiel and actually says in the name of the moon?
Not at all.
No.
Okay. It was really great because we got that and then we also got Chibi Moon doing it as well. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
twice in one episode. That's
I
great.
was already crying when that was happening, and when Chibi Moon did it, I was like, oh, nobody look at me.
I mean, it wasn't just her transformation, but it was also just her meeting her mom again, her mom coming back to life.
And how great was the scene where her mom revived her dad?
Yes.
When
that
she
was
just
cute.
walked
Beautiful.
in, when she okay, so basically
It's a reverse Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, it's a reverse Sleeping
Yes,
Beauty.
yes.
And it's so cool to see that because this show is so much about that role reversal and having women in the strong heroic roles. And Tuxedo Mask at times very much is a little damsel-y.
Well, he straight says in this act, I live here to support you.
Yeah.
I was born to be here to support you. It's like, oh, and then she talks about how, she feels her energy can't be as strong without him, and then they make out.
Yeah.
It's all right. I accept this.
I just want to bring up something that I noticed in the chat. So Christina Devim, who follows me on Twitter and favorites a lot of my stuff. Thank you, Christina. You're lovely. But apparently she's in Portugal, and they got to see the Sailors. They did air Sailor Stars in Portugal.
Luckies.
Oh.
Yeah,
Luckies.
Sailor Moon was very popular internationally. It wasn't just in the U.S. And yeah, apparently in Portugal they continued all the way to the end.
That's not fair.
Super jealous.
That means that it's available if you look for it.
Well,
That's what it means.
And Viz will be releasing it
Yeah,
too.
no,
so-
I just have to be patient. I'll find one of these days I'll finally get to see it.
Yes.
It'll be great.
So what do you guys think of like defeating the big bad nemesis with all three of them in power together and just the whole ending of how it ended? And this is only like up to 20 minutes in because then we have 5 minutes of sadness. But
I know, yeah.
I'll be honest. I was a little bit disappointed with just the end of the fight. I thought there was a lot of really good build-up, especially in the episode before, because I watched the episodes back to back.
I did too, yeah.
Yeah, I was crying. But with this, I thought that the final part of this fight was really anticlimactic because this is a guy who has the ability to warp space and time around him. He's just literally a big ball of negative energy. And the Sailor Scouts are essentially benched.
Yeah.
And I was not cool with that.
Yeah, they were benched. That's right.
They were the thing that, and this was just. I feel like Crystal does this a lot, where it just will like clarify some stuff in the manga a little bit because what's really interesting in the manga
was rushed too. Yeah.
Yeah. I really do believe it was. And so in the manga, in the scene where Neo Queen Serenity tells Chibi Moon, hey, you have to go help them. You're the only one who can. And when the other Sailor Guardians, I liked that they addressed the fact that the other Guardians didn't go with her, because in the manga they're like, we'll all go together. And then only Chibi Moon shows up.
They're like, what?
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going. We're just going to sit. Okay. All right. Well, good luck.
We're not the only one that feels this way. Kimberly Colbert on Twitter also says, I wish the other scouts did something other than notice Sailor Moon was gone and get power-ups.
They didn't do much for a while. So I think the emphasis was really on past, Neo Queen Serenity, who has that strength.
I mean,
it makes sense that the focus would be on this family.
Yes, exactly.
That makes complete and total sense. And we did get some really good Sailor attacks prior to this moment. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I'm really sick of seeing them benched because so much of Crystal benches them when it doesn't necessarily have to. It's shown that it can take some liberties with the manga, and it chooses to take those liberties to go, that's nice, Sailor Scouts, you sit over here now.
Well, they did get new powers from Neo Queen Serenity.
After the fact.
After the fact.
That could have been really useful about 20 minutes ago, Usagi.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I actually do find it frustrating that they were not involved in the battle. However, I don't mind that the focus is on Chibi Moon.
Yeah, no, it totally
That's
makes
what I'm gonna
sense.
say about
I just
that.
would have preferred to maybe the reason that they're benched is because they're hurt. It's really frustrating that like they're just standing there twiddling their thumbs while all this.
Well,
I get it. I
Because you
totally
love
get
them.
it.
I get it because you love them and you want to see them in action.
No, of course,
Exactly.
and I do too. I mean, you know, I'm very vocal about the fact that Sailor Venus is my favorite, and yeah, it is frustrating to not see them participate so much. Once again, for me, I think I have this blindness because I'm like, well, they get to do cool stuff later.
You're thinking on further down the road.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got, you know, just so many versions of Sailor Moon in my head. They all kind of mash into one
kind of big
epic, perfect Sailor Moon universe.
I just think that in 22 minutes or however they give us, it would just be so much to give us.
No, I agree.
That's the
It's a
problem.
lot to cram in.
It would be overload. And again, we saw very specifically they were ready to go, and Neo Queen Serenity is like, nope. Chibi Moon needs to do this on her own.
And there's a lot to wrap up because not only do we have the whole Nemesis thing, can we talk about Diamond?
Yes. But wasn't that last act?
It was in the last act.
I got confused. But we can if you want.
Sorry, I watched these back to
Me
back.
too. So, but go ahead.
It was, but let's talk about it.
This is our last time
I'm
until
sorry,
the next
you guys already
time.
talked about it last time.
No,
I feel bad.
Megan, let's go. I haven't heard you talk about it.
No, it's just like he popped and he was gone, and that was frustrating for me.
Oh, see, Kia and I talked last week about how much we loved his death, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a change from the manga, because in the manga, Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask just team up and kill him.
Yeah.
And I liked that they thought they'd killed Wise Man, and then Damon jumped in, and you thought for a second he was redeeming himself, and you're like,
Like,
no,
no, I get to...
creepy till the end.
I thought that was interesting too, because he jumps in and it's like, oh, this is the part where he redeems himself like he did in the original series, and then he's like, nope, I'm gonna be the one to have the day, and it was like,
He's a tragic character, conflicted with love.
I mean, basically, my feeling about Demond is that he realized in the course of those last two episodes, so 24 and 25, he realized that he thought he was in control of Wise Man, and it was very much the opposite. And I think he basically went, well, I've gone too far now.
Exactly.
I can't come back from this. So he just committed to it.
He's like, all right, I guess I just gotta do what I gotta do to make something
Which,
right.
by the way, they just released the dubbed episodes where Demond and Saphir first appear on Hulu.
Yeah.
And they're saying demand, which is bothering me a little bit because there is an E on the end. It is demande. It is to ask in French.
Yes.
I'm just saying this.
It's true.
I'm still gonna call him Diamond.
Diamond's okay. It's acceptable because you said it. But I want to also ask what you guys thought about the moment that Queen Serenity and Sailor Moon met, even though they weren't supposed to.
So cute.
I loved it.
I loved that they were both like, we have to be the bigger person about this. History needs to run its course. We need to just... And then they both at the same time were like, no, I don't want to. Even if it's just for a minute, I need to go talk to her.
I even liked the way they graphically did it, how they had like a double screen.
It was a split screen, yeah.
Split screen, and how, you just saw each of them at the same time, and even like the whole family. You saw the Luna and Artemis with their child versus
so
the other.
Cute.
It was great.
And for a second too, when they showed up and Neo Queen Serenity had arrived and she was face to face with Sailor Moon, I got so excited when they had the reveal that everybody was all in the lineup, and it was just So beautiful. So beautiful.
I wanted to see more. We waited 26 for that.
Well, I really liked that they finally had a face-to-face, because I don't think that ever happened in the original series. I don't, maybe it did. I don't recall it ever happening. And what I really loved about it is that Neo Queen Serenity was the one that turned around first and ran back.
Yeah.
Because Sailor Moon was like, I don't know the future. This is what's best. You know, I trust that this is what's best. And she was going to keep walking up until she heard her future self coming down the hall. And that, to me, I was like, I really appreciate that.
And it's a trip seeing Neo Queen Serenity as, you know, the future Sailor Moon, because she's so much wiser.
Regal and graceful, which Usagi's not. She's a klutz and she's young and excited.
But she also doesn't have the power to be a senshi at this point.
I know, which was really sad. And I had a lot of sad feelings about that.
I know.
So yeah, she's looking at, you know, the warrior that she used to be, whereas Sailor Moon is looking at the leader that she is going to become.
I know.
And yeah, it's really
I just got
cool.
chills with you describing it that way.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And I love that you can still see that it is Usagi, because even though she's regal and she's acting more like, you know, the Queen Serenity that we know from the past and everything, you can still see that it's very much Usagi.
Yes,
There's
you can.
still a little bubbly nature in there.
Especially when she's the one that turned and said, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Whatever, history's gonna change.
It's like, I can't help myself.
It's changed a lot already.
I'll deal with the consequences. I'll just
Exactly,
deal
it's
with
gonna
it.
be fine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of love in the chat for this scene. I love you, Sehun or Sehun. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I'm trying to read it. It says, oh my gosh, yes, I love when the future and past meet. And just as a comment about Chibiusa's character arc within this, Brandon Christopher says, I love how the show ended with the maturation of Chibiusa.
Yes. I do too. And let's talk about the ending, because their relationship has completely, I wouldn't say necessarily evolved, because I think Usagi's always loved her, but it's more upfront, you know?
Well,
that's how I felt
even
about it.
Chibiusa brings up, like, I want to stay, but doesn't me being here really annoy you?
Yeah.
Of course you do, but I don't want you to go.
Yeah. I thought that was so cute. It made me so sad. And then at the end, when she's on her way off back to the future, and we have Usagi sitting there, like, crying, and then Chibiusa's like, you were my favorite one. Goodbye. Goodbye now.
I loved you the most.
Yeah.
It was so great. But I really loved the scene too, where so you know everything works out great. Everybody gets their power ups, and then they end up back in the present day. And I loved when Sailor Moon woke up the next day and was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And Chibiusa appears in her doorway, and it's like, "It's time to go." And they're running, and she's like, "Wait a second, you have a lot of stuff in that bag." And she realizes that she's planning on going back to the 30th century, and emotionally Usagi just can't handle that.
Yeah,
So
she's like,
see
I'm
ya.
out, runs back to her room.
Forgot something. See you later.
Yeah.
And then when Chibiusa went back, and because this is just the whole reaction I've had, because I've been crying so much watching Sailor Moon, was so, you know, Usagi's laying on her bed just sobbing because she's so sad that Chibiusa's leaving, and Chibiusa comes in and she's like, stop crying! And she's like, I'm not crying, you're crying!
I know. Typical of the dynamic duo.
It's so funny that you say that, because, like I said, I watched this back to back with the episode before it, and my friend Michelle came in while I was watching Sailor Pluto's death scene, and she's just walking by. I'm like, I'm not crying, you're crying, whatever.
Oh,
and then
so
they
funny.
said it in the next episode, and I was like, okay, I feel better about my life a little bit now.
I wasn't here last week. 2 weeks ago. I just want to say I'm so sad Sailor Pluto
I
passed,
know,
but you know.
yeah. Well, but she's now having a beautiful eternal slumber in the palace, like she always wanted.
Yes, and it is what unleashed Chibiusa too.
It's true. That did
So
inspire
Speaking
her.
of ugly crying, that's the prettiest ugly crying I've ever seen.
oh.
Well, I do not look like Sailor Moon characters when I cry. I look a little more like Claire Danes on Homeland.
What do you guys think of like the new Raw that Chibiusa gives, and then also the new pendant and just a little accessory?
Love this brooch, and that I can't wait for
Brooch,
the replica of this wand.
Can I just say that whenever it always takes me back to the first Sailor Moon movie whenever I see a weapon shatter or
Oh,
the
you're
brooch
talking about
shatter.
the Sailor Moon R movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
When she died as they're like coming back to yeah.
That's the best thing that ever came out of the 90s anime, in my opinion, by the way. The Sailor Moon R
good.
movie is solid.
So good.
It's so good.
But so it always takes me back to that. So I see the weapon shatter in the final battle, and I'm like, wait, no, don't do this to me again, show. Don't do this to me again. And then, but then it all turns out all right with the new brooch and the new weapon and everything like that. And I like it. Especially because it's a gift from her future self, whereas the previous gift was, something that was a manifestation of her love with
Tuxedo
Mamoru.
Mask,
Yeah. And so I think it's interesting that shatters, but they still have a promising future together, and that kind of is symbolized in this new weapon.
Yeah, it was cool. This is an interesting topic that I want to bring up. This is sort of based on something that Tai Hyun Frank, again, I'm sorry if I'm saying your names wrong, said in the chat. But didn't the events of the Black Moon happen to Neo Queen Serenity too? Which to me brings up the question of, okay, so they defeated the Black Moon clan in the future. Are those events gonna happen again? Like when that future comes around again?
That's something I've always wondered too,
I
even going back to the first
now
series.
I'm thinking about it.
I know. Well, because you have storylines like in Dragon Ball Z where
It's the multiverse
it's
theory.
the multiverse thing, exactly. So it's like future Trunks travels back to the past to prevent what happened in his future. And that's kind of what Chibiusa did, but she brings them back to her future.
Yeah, and well, the thing with Trunks is that he knew that he couldn't change his timeline.
Correct, yeah.
They just wanted a world where it didn't happen.
I think it's gonna. Okay, the way I theorize this is that the fact that Chibiusa's in the present is gonna change the course of the future.
Agree.
I mean, that's the only thing I could think about.
It's hard to say because I feel like if the future was irrevocably changed, I feel like she would pull a Marty McFly and disappear.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're going with the wibbly wobbly timey wimey theory where you actually do participate in the past, then all of this was always supposed to happen, and it will when they get to that point, it'll happen again. But if we're going with you can change the future, it's a little bit more flexible, then yeah, they're actively changing the future.
Yeah.
Which means Chibiusa could go back and it's completely different. She's like, oh, Crystal
I know,
Tokyo looks a little different.
Yeah, it's like, what is her future now that she maybe prevented these events that were so significant in her past?
The only thing I can think of is that it is a straight line and that all of this was always meant to happen, or well,
Time travel's fun.
because it's easy to write it off with, okay, multiverse theory. It's very different when they've made it clear that time travel is a taboo.
Yeah.
And that stopping time is very much a taboo. Doing any kind of tricky stuff with time is definitely a no-no.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that it's more of a straight line and that you shouldn't be messing with the timeline.
Yeah, and that's why it makes me think that if Chibiusa wasn't hanging out with them, it would be different. It would be different if they're changing the course of time. That's what I'm saying. Is my theory.
I think that it's a straight line, that it was always meant to happen, but it could very well be that they're actively changing the future.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say.
I was going to say, I feel like I fall somewhere in between where I don't think it's exactly a straight line, and that Chibiusa's actions are affecting the future to the point that future that we were in no longer exists as it was. That's okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Chibiusa has changed.
We are going down a deep, dark rabbit hole. I don't know where we'll end up.
Before we talk about saying goodbye until, or if and when, or whatever, all that good stuff, the next slew is released. What do you guys have to say about the rest of this act? Anything else we left to?
The rest of this act.
I
we
think
brought up the
covered.
fact that Pluto was dead.
That's sad.
So sad. I loved all of the support between Usagi and Mamoru, and also Neo Queen Serenity and future King Endymion.
Yeah,
It was really nice to see them all working together.
I want a King Endymion.
Fair enough. With a lavender cape. Big emphasis on
all
that
about
lavender
it.
cape. But I really, I'm with you. because I haven't read the manga.
Yeah.
This to me, Pluto's death scene came out of nowhere for me, and I'm like, guys, it's like even as I'm like getting really emotional about it, I'm like, it's okay. This is Sailor Moon. By the end of the next episode, power of friendship, she'll be fine. Neo Queen Serenity is gonna wake up and fix all of this.
Brandon Christopher in the chat says the ripple effect. A ripple will change some events, but the river will always correct the course. That's interesting.
I think
like
that's kind of what you were saying.
I think that's kind of what I was saying. Yeah.
Well said.
I have heard of that.
Yeah, because we couldn't say it.
Yeah. I have heard of that effect, and I really like that as a description for what's happening here.
I also want to bring up this is actually a conversation that's happening in the chat right now. So Axel Sanabria says, I wonder why the Senshi of the 30th century were not in their eternal forms. Now, of course, in the manga, those forms hadn't been imagined yet by Naoko Takeuchi, the creator of Sailor Moon. I do have to agree, in Crystal, they could have animated them in the eternal forms because they know that's coming.
So it would have confused people, maybe.
I guess maybe, but I don't know. I think it would have been a nice little Easter egg for people who recognize it. And they're like, ooh, why do they have these puffy, colorful sleeves?
I would just assume that that's the fashion in the future.
Yeah. So anything else? Because we got to wrap up, guys. Sad. Ooh. That was amazing. That was like perfect timing.
There was like magical sound. It was a bell. Like, wrap it up, kids.
We have items to find. And
I know. Now I gotta go play Legend of Zelda.
I actually have on my little Legend of Zelda sweatband here. Thank goodness, because it's very hot in this studio.
I do like that. I will say one more thing. Like when Chibiusa came back, that was probably the most.
I just heard.
I laughed.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm really enjoying this coffee.
It's probably the most. Fair enough. It smells delicious. But it's probably the most I've laughed over the course of these last few episodes because everything has been so serious as the stakes have been coming higher and higher. And it was just so funny to see the letter from Neo Queen Serenity with the little drawing, and it's like that does sound like something Usagi would write.
That was so cute.
Thanks for taking care of my kids.
It's not fun. It's like pretty much like, you're burdened now. Bye.
Well, and I also love that they didn't actually offer to train her. Like, Chibiusa clearly went back to the future and was like, Mom and Dad, guess what? Past Mom and Dad said they're going to train me, so I'm leaving now.
And I love how it ended the way this arc started, with her falling from the sky when they're about to kiss. Are they kissing? I forget, but it's hilarious.
Yeah. It was cute.
And I love that they're like, oh, wow, that's really proactive. Way to go, past me.
Yeah.
And it was a really nice little Easter egg, too, because those little Chibi Usagi drawings, like in the manga, Naoko has a lot of sort of liner notes, and she does little doodles like that all the time. So it was really cool to see that on the letter in Sailor Moon Crystal.
Yeah.
It was cute. And which makes me really hope that we get some work, because I want to see this. I want to see this grow. I liked
it's
their
just when we
relationship.
get started.
Yeah, I know. And I actually liked their relationship when they're on the same page. I think it's fun seeing them go back and forth, but like when they actually act like mother and daughter and they get excited about the same things, I find that really endearing, and I want to see more of that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that something that Crystal has done really well, actually, in the past few episodes, back to when Chibiusa first was remembering the first time she saw Usagi and how she was kind of a crybaby and she wasn't...
She's like, oh, she's like me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think from there it's just gone to show just how alike the two of them really are.
Yeah, no, I like that they like act like sisters in, when it comes to fighting, but also when it comes to being on the same page. I like that.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
So yes, I'm sure there's going to be another act.
I'm sure there's going to be more.
There has to be.
There will. And of course, it's not just watching it, but having people like you guys and you fans out there to talk to us, and you guys continue to keep that conversation going. Hashtag ABTV Sailor Moon.
And don't destroy my dreams, nor Tinto avatars saying that PGSM ended with see you again also. I refuse to believe that this is going to end. PJSM ended too soon.
It's not. It can't be.
Kimberly Colbert has hope as well. She says, I hope the next arc is being delayed so the entire next season can be as beautiful as episode 25
Yay.
and 6.
The animation was nice in these last two
episodes.
they
might, if refine the animation.
I'm
problem
okay with waiting a little bit. I can wait a little bit as long as it eventually gets okay, that's all.
And they did say to keep an eye on the Sailor Moon 20th anniversary website for updates.
And in the meantime, we can always watch Sailor Moon classics, read the manga, buy some Sailor Moon stuff.
Yeah, they just released the second half of the Viz dub of Sailor Moon R on Hulu on Friday.
Get caught up.
And
it's so fun.
And there's also in LA a Sailor Moon convention in August, so that's going to happen, right? So we're going to be there. So yeah, hopefully we can see everybody. So keep that conversation going. Let's live Sailor Moon Crystal all together in the meantime. But where can people follow you guys?
You can follow me all over the internet at Emma Fyffe. It's my name. You can see me on the Transformers Robots in Disguise after show here at AFTERBUZZ TV starting in about 20 minutes. So just stick around. Don't go anywhere. Megan will be there too.
Yeah.
Also returning this week, though I won't actually be there because I'll be on vacation, is Sci-Fi's Face Off. We'll be doing our shows on Tuesday. It's not this week, but the week after that, I'll still be gone. But anyway, I'll be on that every other time. You can also watch me on the Cosplay Coach on our sister network, the Popcorn Talk Network, and we're moving our tape times to 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. And you guys all love Sailor Moon. I love Sailor Moon. I do another Sailor Moon podcast, so if you need like an interim Sailor Moon fix, you should totally check it out. It's called Love and Justice. You can find us on iTunes and on our Podbean site and Facebook and all that. So you guys should totally check it out. Megan was on it one time. Kaori's going to come be on it.
I better become on it. Let's go tomorrow.
Seriously, guys, if you haven't checked it out, please check it out. It is hysterical.
I mean, the name Love and Justice. Perfect.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm Megan. You can follow me on Twitter at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I've also started writing articles for the Movie Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out, and be sure to check out our Movie Chick quick reviews on our sister network, Popcorn Talk. Woo! Woo!
I'm going to keep it short and simple. Just find me and see what I'm up to at Kaori's, Kaorious, Instagram, as well as Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. That's how to find me. And on behalf of the AfterBuzz TV team, thank you so much for tuning in to Sailor Moon Crystal After Show. Stay tuned because there will be more once we get announced with more acts, and we'll catch you guys next time for some more AfterBuzz.
Yay!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
In the name of the moon, I'll punish you!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.